我是 Diego。那今天呢，真的是一个非常重要的一集哦。那我觉得是非常幸运，因为我今天邀请到我这个美国的朋友 Nora， 然后她要来参与我们的节目。那今天呢，我们是要来谈谈的，就是新冠病毒在美国究竟是为什么？我们非常的好奇，因为在美国我们都觉得说，它是一个公共卫生啊，非常的好。那为什么这一次在美国呢，它的这个病毒传染就是飙升到世界第一哦？那我现在呢，就是 Welcome Nora.
Hi.
How's it going? Where are you right now?
I'm in my bedroom here in New York.
In New York. Okay. It looks cool, like very, very big.
Yeah, it's definitely the biggest room I've ever had in New York, for sure.
And oh my God, my viewers, I'm sorry I haven't introduced Nora properly. So okay, I met Nora in Taiwan because Nora came to Taiwan on it's like a language exchange program.
Yeah.
And she is very smart, and she actually went to a very good college in the U.S., which is the U of I. And she's very talented, and she possesses good people skill. And so, yeah, this is how we met. So,
wow.
Would you tell a little bit about how we met, and what's your experience in Taiwan that impressed you the most?
Yeah. I mean, me and you, I know we met like very, very early. I think it was before school even started. I remember I was taking the bus to school. I was like staying with a host family, and yes. You also were a student at the school, and I think maybe we were talking somehow. I don't know. I know you helped me like find how to get to the school, and then we just saw each other around a lot.
I remember you dropped your wallet. Probably that you dropped.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No. Okay, well, thank you.
I have some questions to you because U.S. have been long considered like really the leader in public health and sanitary standards, and because Taiwan is really surprised by how U.S. is handling right now, because we think that U.S. would be the country that the least impacted by the virus. So would you share a little bit with us what's your opinion about why the virus is spreading so wildly in the U.S.?
Yeah, I mean, I think early on a big problem was like the government, I don't think, was taking it seriously enough, and we didn't have like a lot of the medical supplies that we needed to do like, you know, the testing and just take care of people who are sick. So I think we were kind of like shocked early on once it was like in the country and spreading in places like New York where there's so many people close together. Yeah, it's hard to stop it once it's here.
So what is the public reaction to it? Like people, are they abiding to the social restriction, like putting on masks at all times? Or they're just indifferent in terms of attitude?
I think at this point, pretty much, I mean, everyone pretty much is taking it seriously. Like pretty much everywhere you go, people are wearing masks. And I think it's kind of difficult because like now it's starting to get warmer out and people, you know, usually want to go to the park, or if they have kids, people don't have a lot of space in their apartment. So like we live nearby a pretty big park, and like a lot of people are out there, you know, walking around.
Yeah, I think it's been 2 months right now in the US that the government has imposed the quarantine regulation right now. So what do people are reacting to it? Because like I see on the news that stores have been closed. For example, like some wholesale probably are closed, or some, you know, enterprise have been closed, like airline industry. I saw on the TV that United Airlines is now struggling a lot because they got a big fleet and like no business is running. And so we're really curious about how the society actually in the whole reacts to the coronavirus.
Yeah, I mean, things are definitely very shut down. Like I've never experienced anything like that before. Like, I mean, everything except for kind of grocery stores, or like some restaurants you can, you know, go to the window and get takeout, but you can't really like shopping for clothes or anything that's like not just essential business.
Wow, that is hard. What other restrictions? You had to work from home, or you cannot go out for?
So I was in Chicago with my parents before, and like they closed down a lot of the trail. Like they have a big biking and walking trail and some beaches. along like Lake Michigan in Chicago because there's too many people coming out. Like they had to close down a lot of the trail and they closed down a lot of the parks.
So the next question I'd like to ask is how the industry is reacting to the virus, because I see in Taiwan, there's a lot of companies that closed due to this, one said it's been considered the massive economic depression of all time. A very big 5-star hotel in my city have been closed, massive layout have been conducted, and a lot of airlines are changing their passengers' airplanes to cargo airplanes. They're taking off seats and make it like a cargo compartment in order to rescue the already plummeting sales numbers. So I'd like to ask, what is the situation right now in the US? Is it global? Is it just Taiwan, or like in US it's doing fine?
I mean, yeah, we're definitely not doing. Taiwan had a little bit less impact, at least from what I heard. Like as far as like cases, it seems like not so many cases have happened there. But yeah, I think a lot, like what you were saying, a lot of the businesses have had to like, change how they do things. Like some manufacturers are now like manufacturing the face masks for people, even though they might be doing something totally different beforehand, like making clothes. Places that a lot of people would come to eat in the restaurant, they kind of had to change like the way that they make food in order to have some more business that's outside. And some bars too, actually some bars in my neighborhood. Now they have like a window you can walk up to and order a drink and like
drink on the street instead?
You're not supposed to drink on the street. No.
Oh.
That's illegal. But a lot of people, I think, if they have it in the brown paper bag and you're drinking on the street, as long as you're behaving, like I don't think you'll get in trouble.
I didn't know that it's illegal to drink on the street, because in Taiwan it's totally acceptable.
Yeah, I remember that. Well, not that I was of drinking age, but I saw people doing that.
Okay.
But yeah, we've been saying like they should start doing that in New York, because it's nice to be able to walk outside and drink.
It's very strange because you go to a bar, you expect you to be able to drink some beers in the bar, but right now people are not allowed to get in the bar and just take.
You can't even go in the bar. You just have to walk up to the window and like maybe have a really short conversation with the bartender because there's other people in line behind you. Yeah, it's definitely like totally crazy, and I think it's changed like a lot of the way things work. So maybe some things will be different after all.
So next thing I'd like to talk about is how is NYC dealing with the situation, because people right now see NYC as like the epicenter of the pandemic, and like people are kind of scared to go there for like work business trip. So is it true like this described it in the news?
I mean, I don't know what you've been seeing in the news, but I think there has been a lot of cases here, and it was kind of out of control. And I think still is like, I don't know, they don't fully know what to do to stop it. I know like they had a lot of hospitals like filling up, and they had to like make certain like big convention centers or like Central Park even, they have like tents where they're treating patients because they don't have enough space in the hospital.
That is like wartime.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And like Times Square, which is usually, the super bustling, tons of people, like everything. I've seen some pictures of my friends going by there, and it's just totally empty.
Totally empty. Wow.
Yeah, like nobody there because all the stores are closed, and I mean, nobody's really coming here as like a tourist anymore.
So are you allowed to take the subway? Because subway is one of the icons of the New York City, the big.
Yeah. So I think the subway, like for the first time in, I forget how long it was, a super long time. They had, usually the subway runs 24 hours, but now they've been shutting it down. I think for like maybe 4 or 6 hours at night to do like a cleaning of it. The subway is still running because a lot of people who are like essential workers, will take the subway to go to work. Very few people in New York have cars. Mm-hmm. So they kind of need to keep it running, but they shut it down for the first time in like a really, really long time.
What about the basic supplies for your life, like grocery stores, water supply, and all of that? Is that okay right now? Like, are people struggling to get their food, or?
I think like as far as the supply of food and toilet paper and all that kind of stuff, I think there is like a good amount of supply. I know like at first when this all started, people were kind of panicking and like buying a bunch of food to like withstand because they don't know how long it's going to go on. Certain stores, it can take a really long time to get into the store. Like actually the grocery store that I usually shop at, they were just like advertising it's less than 1 hour wait to get in like almost all the time now.
Wow.
But yeah, usually they have like a line like going around the block where people are 6 feet apart because it's not too big and they only can have a certain number of people in at one time.
Okay, wow, this is the first time I heard this situation. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about Taiwan's government's attitude and their gesture in the midst of this scary pandemic. So Taiwan has placed an embargo on all exportation of masks because this is like an essential item right now. So we placed an embargo on exportation of masks for a period of 1 month, just to make sure that all the sanitary workers have the sufficient amount of masks to work. And afterwards, Taiwan actually reaches a daily production volume of like 50 million pieces and is able to give out to other countries. I would like to like really thank our government because our government didn't know what exactly is the virus because we couldn't get information from the WHO. And so our president is actually, battling against the invisible. We don't know what exactly it is, and we don't know the method of transmission. We don't know the seriousness. We can just guess, come up with some ideas and say, oh, it's probably as bad as the SARS. I think this is one of the reason the Taiwanese government is doing so well in terms of protecting the virus from spreading so much. So I'd like to ask about the US governments as well, because we see that Trump have been, sort of raging out a little bit in all like conference and all of that. So what is the people's reaction or perception on this, and what do you think about that?
You mean like Trump? I would say Trump, at least personally, I feel like he does a lot of stupid stuff and will just like say things without correct information all the time. And I think a lot of people, especially since he's the president, will take what he says very seriously. Like, for example, when he was tweeting, like saying, oh, we're closing the borders, US, nobody's going to be able to be allowed back in. Like Mackenzie, actually, our friend, she was in Europe and she had to like book a flight home. Like she had just arrived there in like 2 days before, but then she was like panicking to try and get a flight home. She ended up having to go through Russia, I think, to get back to the US.
Wow.
Yeah, so yeah, I would say Trump, I would say generally, I think people are not the most happy with how he's been dealing with things. So I think a lot of like local, governors and mayors have been doing a lot better job. Governor Cuomo in New York, a lot of people have been saying really good things about him, and he's been very like upfront about how he's planning to do things. And I think actually the mayor in Chicago too, Lori Lightfoot, she has been doing a good job, and she's been using like social media a lot to reach people and tell them like, hey, this is what the plan is, like kind of using some humor to get people to stay inside.
So what do you think are the specific like measures being taken that has positive impacts?
I mean, he did, like, I feel like after, he wasn't the quickest to take it seriously, but then after some time, he did start to kind of, say we need to shut everything down. They also had, like, the stimulus bill trying to help the economy. There's, like, unemployment packages. I think majority of the people across the U.S. got this stimulus check. For most people, it was like $1,200, but then like it was less depending on what your income is.
Okay.
And this was like kind of to help during this time individually, but also to keep the economy going.
So on a positive side, that in the period of quarantine, we got time to spend with our family. And I think the limited human activity actually helped the planet to sort of recover from the pollution we produce in a way, I think so.
Yeah. And definitely there was some impact with that,
So thank you, Nora, for coming to our show. I really appreciate that you do this. 那今天呢，很开心，因为大家聊到这边哦。那 我们今天的节目就差不多到这边结束了。那如果你还有更多的对国际上的问题呢，都可以在下面留言跟我说哦。那我是Diego，下次见，拜拜。
拜。